after the Amsterdam Marathon, and I've come back to the Vondel Park, both because although you run through the park twice, once on the way out and once on the way back, you don't actually see what the park is like. So I thought that would be nice to come and just actually see what the park had to offer. However, the more important thing is to do a bit of reflection on how the marathon went yesterday, what I learned from it and what I could have done differently. So, first thing was the day before, so on Saturday, my daughter and I hired a couple of bikes, as you do when you're in Holland, and we cycled round the marathon route, which very few people, I would imagine, do in Holland. Having said that, we did see at least 4 or 5 other groups of people that were obviously cycling the marathon route, so that was interesting. And I think that was absolutely a magnificent thing to do. Although I had done the Amsterdam Marathon last year, when you're running in one of these kind of events, you really don't see what's round about you, and you remember kind of little bits here and there, but when you think back, for example, running down the side of the Amstel, but even when you can recall bits of it, you can't recall it in detail, and it really doesn't help you very much when you come to do it again the next time. So the plan was to take the bikes round the route at a reasonably leisurely pace, and that would help us hopefully pick out a few waypoints where I could see where I would be in relation to the route as a whole, and kind of get my head round the elevations, because first time I ran there were bits that I thought were really quite steeply uphill for a long distance, which when you cycled them you could tell were absolutely flat. So there were all sorts of reasons why I think it was a good idea to cycle the route, and I would certainly do that for any new marathons that I do in future. So yes, that was a good idea. The other big change that I made to my normal was that I decided to try having a regime of using gels. And I've never really been a fan of gels, never really believed in gels before. But I thought, well, nothing to lose. And I was really quite surprised. Last year, I think I got to about 26.5k before I reverted to jog walking for the last 10 miles. This time I relatively comfortably got to within the last 10k before I started to jog walk, and even then it was kind of 10 metres of walk and 200 or 300 metres of jog. So or run rather. That's the other important thing, is it's not a walk jog. When I was running, I was overtaking lots of other people. So it wasn't that I was plodding when I was jogging. And even the walk part, there were loads of other people walking, and I was overtaking them because I was walking at a reasonable pace. In fact, I timed a lot of it just because I'm an analyst, and I worked out that I was only losing somewhere about a minute a k at that point. So I took gels. Stuck to the regime of having a double, a 60 milliliter one half an hour before the start, and then I think there were 30 milliliter ones every half hour. So half an hour in, hour and a half to 2.5. Then at 3 hours I had another double, because I think that was the point where I would be really starting to sag, and it was. And I didn't take any more after that. I had another 2 with me, and I should have taken them, because when I got to the last 5k, I had just run out of energy, and I should have known to take a gel then, but it just didn't enter my head that, well, this is what's wrong. I'm sure that if I'd taken these other two gels at 3.5 hours and 4 hours, I would have knocked a good 5 minutes off my time. I did struggle the last 5k, which was a disappointment. So how did that all work? Well, the first, I had been used to kind of running 5.5, 5:40 minutes per k, and I did that. I just set out and did my normal pace, and I got to 10k in I think about 57 minutes. It's on the video if you want to look at it. I got to 20k under 2 hours, got to the halfway point. I think it was roughly 2 hours and 3. I got to the 30k in just under 3 hours, and I knew that if I got to the 30k, so that was only 12k left to go, I knew I wasn't going to do it in 4 hours because I would fatigue during that last quarter. But I thought 4.5 hours, I would have been happy with under 5. But I thought, well, we can maybe get 4.5 hours here. And even up to the 5k point, I was looking at 4:28, and that was absolutely achievable. But the last 5k, it cost me, instead of 7.5, 7:45 a k, I was well over the 8 minutes, apart from the last one. So that definitely cost me 5, 6, maybe even 7 minutes. So instead of coming in at 4 hours 28, I came in at 4:35. So still really, really pleased with that. And I think the bulk of it, given that I hadn't been able to do any long runs for the last 6 weeks, and about 25k was as much as I had run before then in my training. Training had gone really well up to 6 weeks before. I think 4:35. That's a pretty darn good time for somebody in their 60s that didn't manage to do their last 6 weeks training, didn't do any really long runs, nothing approaching 30k. So really pleased with that. So I think it was the gels that really made the difference, particularly when you look at that last 5k when I didn't take the gels. Hydration wise, last year I didn't realise that when you got to a water station, the water was in cups, and you either had to stop to drink it, which meant that there was a struggle to get back going again, or the water was splashing about. So I didn't know that there's a trick to this, which is that you squeeze the cup so it becomes effectively a funnel, and you can just pour it into your mouth and everything is going fine. So it was quite hot. It was about 17 degrees, but that's ambient temperature, and with the sun beating down, it's probably about the same as the Great North, 17 ambient and about 20, 21, something like that, in the open sun. So I knew I had to drink quite a lot. Now the water stations, which are every 5k, they had an isotonic drink and they had water, and after 15 k's you had a third of a banana that you could have. So the decision I made was to start off with one isotonic and one water, and then take on the banana when we got the banana. And then once I got to about 25k, I took on 2 isotonic, and sometimes I took the water, sometimes I didn't. When I took the water, 25 to 35, I only took half the cup. I think the last one at 35k, I took the full cup. So I was taking the gels at each half hour. Now each of the half hours kind of coincided with a water station, but the water station was maybe half a k after the point where I took the gel. So I did have my Nathan belt with me with the 600ml bottle, and I had what do you call the additive, the electrolyte stuff in there. So that was good. I only used that when I had a gel, just to wash it down. I think it's always, when you're taking a gel, you should always have water with it. You're much less likely to get an upset stomach if you have some water with you. So the water lasted right up to the end. Maybe on reflection, the 30 minutes intervals between the gels isn't cast in stone, so maybe it would have been okay, I'm sure it would have been okay, to have the gel just as I was approaching the water station, so I was using the water to take the gel down. Then I would have been able to keep the stuff in the bottle in my belt for when I needed it. In general, I didn't need to have extra water fluid as I was going along, but towards the end, maybe about 2/3 of the way through, I got to a point where I felt thirsty, so I had some extra between the water stations. And again, maybe somewhere about 4k from the end, I felt I needed to have another drink, so I drank from my bottle. But other than that, surprised myself. I wasn't expecting to drink from the water stations and just rely on my own bottle, but I would never have got through with it being sunny and quite warm. I would never have got through just on what I had in my bottle. So I think I made the right decisions there. So overall, there's a little pigeon just coming up alongside the camera. He's going behind it. So overall, I think I had a good strategy and I executed it quite well. I expected to come in maybe somewhere just maybe about 4:50, 4:55, came in at 4:35, and watching my time as I was going along, it was going to be just under 4.5 hours, and it didn't seem to matter, how fast or slow I went. It stayed about the same. You have your natural pace that you run at, and that only dropped off in the last 5k, as I say, when I did start to walk a bit further. So overall, I was really pleased. I really enjoyed this year's Amsterdam Marathon. Much better than last year. Because I was more confident going in, and because even though I hadn't done the last 6 weeks of training, I knew that I was well prepared before that. So yeah, I wouldn't be able to run the whole thing, but I was better prepared this year. The weather was much better. Last year it was between about 6, 7, 8 degrees Celsius and really cold, and it was raining a lot of the time. So it was cold rain, and I think that was the worst thing last year. So the sun's just come out now. So it was kind of like this yesterday, really pleasant. Not too warm, not too cold, nice sun, which brought the crowds out, and it had everybody in a really good mood, and everybody around about me was very happy. That's the final thing that's the big difference, because I was able to keep up my kind of 5.5 to 6 minute pace for so long, right up to the 31k mark. Last year I was in the group that was really struggling from probably about the halfway mark right to the end, and as the time went on, I was, the people that were struggling less went ahead, and I was dropping back further and further into the zone of those that were just desperate to get round and get to a finish. Whereas this year, 3/4 of the way, I kept up with the people that were on a 4-hour marathon pace, which is pretty respectable for anybody, particularly somebody my age and profile. So the people round about me were all much more positive. I think that was really good. And then when I did start to drop back, I wasn't getting into that zone of the desperate people. and I was still in people that were, you know, coming in on the 4.5 hour mark, or less, and they were also still very positive, because 4.5 hours is still a respectable marathon time for, you know, somebody that isn't a keen club runner. So that positive mental attitude kind of came across everybody and kept everybody going, I'm sure. So there's a few lessons that I've learned, a few little differences from last year to this year, a few differences in my approach to the marathon from this time to last time, and certainly to Belfast. And it makes me much more hopeful, and in fact more hopeful than ever. I always had this idea that I could do a 4-hour marathon. Even in my 60s, I can do a marathon in 4 hours. And after yesterday, I'm even more convinced that I can. You know, I kept it up for the first 31 Ks. I kept up 4-hour marathon time without really having any difficulty. I wasn't struggling, other than, you know, a little bit mental at the beginning, which everybody has, I suppose, and all the doubts start to come in before you get settled, right? So with the full training programme, getting that last 6 weeks done and doing more longer runs, you know, kind of 35k runs, I think I could absolutely do 4 hours. So that's my target. I'm coming back to Amsterdam again in 2017, and I will do a 4-hour time. In between then, I'm doing the Brighton Marathon in May of 2017. I applied for a place in the London Marathon, but there was only one place for every 10 applicants, so I didn't get a place. I wasn't expecting really to get one. I'm hoping to do the Stirling Marathon at the end of May, but my son and his partner are coming over from Australia around about then, and I might not be able to actually go and do it. And we'll pick up 1 or 2 others over the summer. So that's my provisional plan for 2017, and certainly finish off again with what is, I think, a fantastic marathon. I really, you know, last year it was my first one. I had nothing to gauge it against, but having looked at other ones, and you know, especially having done Belfast, which is absolutely terrible. I don't know how anybody wants to do Belfast Marathon. But yeah, to me this is probably one of the best marathons in Europe. Probably a lot of marathons more scenic, but there's just something about this that I don't like. Okay, so we're going to ramp down now for the winter, pick up the training programme again in January. In between then, so this is October, so the rest of October, November and December, I'm going to be doing kind of a 10 to 15k as my normal run. I'm not going to run 6 days a week anymore. I'll bring that down to about three days a week. And at the end of each month, so that will be a fortnight, will be the end of October, I'll do a half marathon on my, you know, informally, and I'll do that again at the end of November and do it again at the end of December. Then I think I'll be able to pick that up from January. Instead of starting from a 10k starting point, we'll be already starting from half marathon. So that's the plan, and I hope, I know things went ski with the videos during that last 6 weeks, so we'll have to catch up with all that. So if you've stuck with it, then thanks, I appreciate everybody watching. Next year I'll be 62, and you're starting to get well into my 60s. So we'll keep up the running, hope you'll stick with me. Okay, see you next time.
If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to make sure you get notifications of all new content.